Longview Planning and Zoning Commission meeting for September 15th, 2015 will now come to order. We'll have our invocation given by Commissioner Pirtle.
Lord, we want to thank you for this day. Thank you for this opportunity to meet and discuss the business of the city. Thank you for those that have given their lives for us and given us this opportunity to do these things. We pray that you will give us the guidance to make the right decisions for the community and for ourselves. We ask this in your name. Amen. Amen. The pledge, please. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Our first order of business will be to approve the minutes from August 18th. Are there any corrections, any changes? If not, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second. It's been moved and second to approve those minutes. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The minutes stand approved. The consent agenda. The items on the consent agenda are plats that meet the requirements of the City of Longview subdivision ordinance. These items will be approved with one vote unless any member of the Planning Zoning Commission, any member of the public, or the applicant would like an item removed from consent and placed on the regular agenda for discussion. We will be moving, I'd like to move item A on the consent agenda to the regular agenda. Okay. Anyone else? Is there a motion?
I make a motion we approve application PD 15-04 from the consent agenda to the regular agenda.
Second.
Moved and second to move item A from the consent agenda to the regular agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
That passes. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as it remains?
Make that motion for approval.
Second.
It's moved and second to approve the consent agenda with item B remaining on it. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
That stands approved. Now we will move into the regular agenda. Wait a minute, let me make sure. Nope, not the regular agenda. We have the presentation right now, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Prior to the presentation, we have prior to the regular agenda, rather, we have a presentation. Please.
Ladies and gentlemen, since I was here in July, when you approved the higher ed overlay district of the South Main ordinance, the city council then accepted your recommendation and approved also. And I'm just simply here for an update. I alluded to our plans, but I wanted to show you our plans. First of all, before we get started, I want you to know that
If you would, before we go any further, give us your
Yes.
name and
I'm sorry,
and,
sir.
and who you're representing, please,
Okay.
for the record.
Yes, sir. Julie Fowler. I'm a resident of Longview, and I represent Kilgore College tonight, and in particular, Kilgore College Longview. I apologize. Now, can I flip that and what I said earlier, put it there? Before we show you this video, I wish we could, can we dim the lights to make it?
Unfortunately, no.
No?
They have to have them on for TV, I'm sorry.
Oh, yes, of course. Okay. Well, before we get started with this, I do want to narrate a little bit, but I want you to know that this is simply a plan. And without a plan, you don't know where you're going. So, as I told you in July, we have had this plan developed. Architect Bryce Davis is responsible for this work along with his staff. This came because Mr. Shirley encouraged us to do this, and along with Ms. Choi and Ingrid Self. And I'm very pleased with what we have here. Once again, we don't own all this property. However, since I saw you, we own an extra 2 pieces of property and have 2 other lots on contract. So we are moving forward with this. Where we're going to start is on Cotton Street. And you're going to see us go down Cotton Street. We're going to pass through the back of the old AEP SWEPCO building, which will be, next to it will be parking, and it will no longer have parking right up to its back door. We're going to go down South Street in front of our main building, the Hendricks Building, the old Sears building. We're going to turn south on High Street. You're going to see a lot of new buildings. We're going to turn east on College. If you can think about where you are, we're going to go east on College and turn north on Center. And that's basically the block that is now the higher ed overlay district. As I told you in July, Mr. Davis saw the vision of tying this hodgepodge of a current campus together, buildings covered with all kinds of veneer. He saw the tie-in as being red brick. Red brick matches our intersections downtown. It gives a feel of a historic era, and it is very traditional. And we feel like it will be a good fit into that wonderful part of our town that is so historic. So with that said, I think we can go. This is a vision of what our culinary arts program could be, with an outdoor restaurant that the students will run. And on the back of this building will be the actual instructional facility. We're on Cotton Street now, and we're looking now down through the back of the old AEP SWEPCO building that we call the North Building. And you see the arch, lots more trees, lots more grass, which is so necessary, in my opinion, for a college campus. There's the old Sears building, and you'll notice to the left, there are an additional 3 stories added on the east side of the building. We're coming down High Street now. And every building that is white already exists, but the red brick buildings are new. We're almost to the city's development office right now, but we're going to turn the corner. And this is a building for industrial maintenance, pipe fitting, and plumbing. Very traditional looking building with a center entrance. To the back, construction technology. Added on more classroom buildings, more space. We're now looking back towards College Street, and that building in front of you, which is red brick, is actually there right now. Once again, an arch on the south part of the campus to designate that it is a college campus. And now we're going to travel north on Center Street. There is the 3rd story addition to the Hendricks building. Once again, lots of trees and grass. And that's it. Once again, I wanted you to see it. I wanted you to see why I was so excited when I came to you to begin with. And I continue to ask for your support and your blessings. Thank you. Any questions?
Any commissioners have
Thanks.
questions?
Julie. Good
No
job.
Thank you.
questions, but compliments to you and for
Well,
all the time and
thanks.
passion that you put into the, it's gorgeous.
It's my baby.
Yeah. Thank
Thanks a lot.
Thank you,
you.
Julie.
Thank you so much, and we do appreciate, we appreciate the contribution to Kilgore College here in Longview. I think that we've got something started here that's going to really be something we're going to be proud of in a very short time, just a couple of years. And I love the idea of having a college overlay and putting more emphasis on education right in our downtown area. I think that's a great idea. So we look forward to working with you in the future. Thank you. All right, now, we will, at this point, without any other comments or questions regarding the presentation, move into our regular agenda. The purpose of this meeting is to hear the regular agenda meetings. The purpose of the meetings is to hear all pertinent testimony of those in support of and in opposition to the applications before the board. Tonight is the first of 2 public hearings required to approve a change in zoning. The board also considers plats. The procedure for public hearing items to be followed tonight will be: the public hearing will be opened and testimony will be heard in the following order: the applicant, the staff, the general public, those in support and in opposition to the request. If you're part of a large group with a common interest, we ask that you appoint a spokesperson rather than having each individual restate the same information. When addressing the board, please begin by stating your name and address. Try to limit your comments to 5 minutes. When all sides have spoken, the public hearing on the matter will be closed. No further public discussion will be entertained. After each public hearing is closed, the board will vote on the request. Zoning request and Planning and Zoning Commission's recommendations will go forward to the second public hearing, which be conducted by the City Council on October 8, 2015. The first item is the P-1504, moved from the consent agenda. P-15-04, consider application for Hillcrest Estates Unit 2 and Hillcrest Estates Unit 1 subdivision filed by David Mitchell to plat and amend approximately 7.323 acres of the W.M. Robinson Survey A, 177 into 7 residential lots located on the north side of Winding Run Lane and along Shadow Ridge Lane. Who represents this request? Staff?
Thank you, Mr. Murphy. The applicant is requesting to plat 7 single-family residential lots, which is an extension of Hillcrest Estates Unit 1. Because this is a residential subdivision that is over 30 lots, secondary fire access is required. As you can see, there's a secondary fire access going through this lot, and then it goes off-site and crosses through another lot onto Bill Owens Parkway. Staff does recommend approval of this plat on the condition that we receive the secondary easement separate document that we can file at the courthouse. I would be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from the commission on this?
How wide is the easement?
The easement is 20 feet wide, enough for a fire truck.
Will they be able to make that radius right there?
Well, this was approved by the fire department, so
Okay.
I'm assuming yes.
I mean, the radius on block 3, as it goes out? Right there? Yeah.
Right here. This was approved by the fire department. Our fire marshal approved this plan.
Is that going to be open to just the residents?
No, it will have a gate with a Knox lock, only accessible from our public safety.
How does the size of those lots compare to the adjacent ones? Are they about the same?
Some of these are quite larger
Deep.
than the rest of this residential subdivision. They are quite larger, as you can see, probably 2 or 3 times larger. But there are some oil and gas wells on some of these lots, and I think that's what accounts for the larger lot size.
And your request to move it from the consent to the regular was,
Is to ensure that a secondary access easement is secured before, with that condition before being filed at the courthouse. Yes, sir.
it was the conditional part of it, is the reason staff
Yes, sir.
requested that I move it. I just wanted the commission to be aware.
Yeah, and it's been sent out. We've received one of the easements back signed. We just haven't received the other one that goes onto Bill Owens, which is a small portion of the easement. It has not been received by staff yet.
So a recommendation from us will be with those,
Yes, sir, with the condition.
with the conditions met.
Yes, sir.
Conditions not met, it stops.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That'll be a paved and curbed access,
Yes, sir.
okay,
Well, not curb, just paved.
okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other questions from commission at this time? If not, we will open up public hearing on 15-04. Is there anyone present who would like to speak in favor of this? None coming forward at this time. Anyone present wish to speak against it? None coming forward at this time. The public hearing is closed. Is there a motion?
I make a motion that we approve PD 15-06 with the consent that the city receives their easements.
15-04,
Oh, I'm sorry.
04.
Looking at the one, yeah,
correct?
15-04.
Okay. Want to make sure I have the record right. Okay.
I was looking at the next one.
Okay.
Yeah, 15-04.
Is there a second?
I would second that.
Okay. We have a motion and a second to approve application 15-04. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, 15-04 is approved and for recommendation. All right, let us move to the next item on our regular agenda. P 15-08, consider application P 15-08, Hollybrook Coves, Phase 3, filed by David Yoel to plat approximately 15.27 acres into 51 residential lots located on Celebration Way, north of Hollybrook Drive. Who represents the application? Anyone present to represent the application? No one coming present, staff?
Thank you, Mr. Murphy. The applicant is requesting to plat 51 single-family residential lots. The applicant has met all of our staff requirements. They have addressed all staff comments. We have received all tax certificates and Mylar. Staff recommends approval of this request. I would be happy to answer any questions.
Commissioners have questions, please. No questions at this time? All right. The public hearing for application P 15-0. Yeah, let me get rid of that one. 08 is now open. And all those who would, anyone like to speak in support of 15-08, please come forward at this time. If there's anyone who would speak in opposition to 15-08, please come forward at this time. There being no one coming support of or opposition to 15-08, the public hearing is closed. Do we have a motion?
I so move to approve P 15-08 as presented.
Second?
It's been moved and second to approve application P 15-08. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? 15-08 stands approved. RP 15-05, public hearing be held to consider application RP 15-05 filed by Walter Purdue to replat lots 10 and 11, Block 2, Grecton Gardens, into 3 residential lots located on Branch Street west of Pine Tree Road and east of Scenic Drive. Anyone present representing this application, please come forward. State your name and your address.
Hi, good evening. I'm Walter Purdue. My address is 216 Straight Lane in Longview, Texas. We're requesting to replat these 2 lots in here and divide them into 3 lots. Our intention is to build a single-family home utilizing the Longview SLIP program. And that's essentially it.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Purdue?
That's approximately 200 feet across the front, is that correct? Less
Actually,
than 200.
it's less than 200 feet.
And you're putting 3 lots, very narrow but deep.
Yes, ma'am.
What are the side sets on this?
I'm sorry?
The side sets on the lots?
The setbacks are 8 feet, I believe,
On the sides?
from the sides.
They're actually 6 feet.
6 feet?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
What size homes are these going to be?
That'll be approximately 1,100 square foot home. There's actually 2 homes already on lots 10 and 11. We'll be adding one into the 10A. And this is an older neighborhood and an older street, I guess.
So you're really adding 1 home
Yes, ma'am.
to the 2 that are already there?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, that's better explanation, thank you.
Why don't we go ahead and get staff report on this so we can...
Thank you, Mr. Murphy. The applicant is requesting to replat 2 residential lots into 3 single-family residential lots. The property is located in our SLIP area. The SLIP area was created to encourage single-family owner-occupied housing to locate within a certain geographical area. The applicant has applied for the building permit. The building permit will not be issued until the replat is approved. The applicant has prepared a pad site for the future single-family home. The replat does comply with all City of Longview requirements, and staff recommends approval of this replat. I would be happy to answer any questions.
Any additional questions? Okay. Sir?
Looks like they've already started.
Staff commissioner was saying that it appears they've already started. What?
They have not received any building permits from the City of Longview.
Okay. Okay, all right. All right, at this time, we'll open up the public hearing for application RP 15-05. Is there anyone present who would like to speak in support of this application? Is there anyone who would like to speak in opposition to this application? There being no one coming forward in support or opposition, the public hearing is closed. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion for approval.
Second.
It's been moved and second that we approve application RP 15-05. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? 15-05 is recommended. Z 15-16. Public hearing will be held to consider application Z 15-16 filed by John Eves requesting a rezone from single-family SF5 to heavy commercial C2 for lots 9, Block 13, NCB 10, Northcutt Heights, located on the east side of McCann and North Gates Who present represents this application? Anyone present representing it? Please come forward, give us your name, address, and tell us about it.
John Eves, ST44 Lake Cherokee. That one little spot there is a lot that the building is on that has been there since the 50s. And when I purchased it in the 80s, I assumed that it was commercial because there was commercial occupants in there. And I found out last month that it was residential. And I'm just trying to get it changed because everything surrounding it is commercial. All that red is commercial,
Okay.
and the blue is not.
Okay. Commission, with your pleasure, I'm going to ask staff to go ahead and make the report before we ask questions.
Thank you, Mr. Murphy. The applicant is requesting a rezone from Single Family 5, as you see here in the blue, to heavy commercial. C2, as you see here, this is all this heavy commercial. Currently, the property is being used as retail and commercial, but is zoned Single Family 5. Rezoning will bring the property into compliance with the current uses and the surrounding property. Staff finds the proposed zoning change is consistent with the surrounding uses, and I would be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from the commission?
Why was it never platted in the first place?
It was just, I don't know why it was ever rezoned. We went back to all our historical zoning maps, and for some odd reason, this section was always zoned Single Family 5. I don't know why, but we're here to fix that spot.
Okay.
What brought it up?
Actually, an applicant came in to see if he was zoned correctly. He applied for a CO, a certificate of occupancy, for one of the lease spaces, and we noticed that it was not zoned correctly.
Nice shock on that one.
Okay, if we have no more questions of staff, the public hearing for application Z15-16 is now open. Is there anyone who would like to speak in support of it? Is there anyone present to speak in opposition to it? There being no one speaking in support or opposition to Z15-16, the public hearing is closed. Is there a motion?
Motion for approval for Z15-16.
Second.
It's been moved and second that we approve application Z15-16. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Z15-16 stands approved.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, yes.
is there any way the staff could kind of look at a map of the city of Longview and see if there are those random little lots that need to be rezoned? Or does it just come up when somebody brings it to their attention?
It usually just comes up when it's brought to our attention. There are times where there's a staff-initiated rezone where we see that there are issues. This one, staff has just never come across, but there have been times we've done a city-initiated rezone across from the Walmart on Estes Parkway where it was zoned agricultural at the time. Through annexation, property is brought in and it's zoned agricultural. And then at that time, I don't know why, it's just, it was never zoned correctly, and so staff went and initiated a neighborhood meeting and did a city-initiated rezone for that area for those existing buildings. But it's pretty much just a case-by-case basis.
So a citizen just needs to figure out that there's a problem.
Well, if there is a problem, usually, it's very rare when this does occur, but if it does, then usually the first step is us, when they apply for a certificate of occupancy.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Okay, let's move on to application Z15-17. Public hearing is held to consider application Z15-17 filed by Howard Parker requesting a rezone from agricultural A to heavy commercial C2 for approximately .393 acres of AB 256M Man Survey, TR 66, Section 3, located at 200 Delroy Street on the east side of Highway 31 and south of Delroy Street. Is there anyone present to speak to this application? If so, please come forward, give us your name and your address, and tell us what you're doing.
I'm Howard Parker, 1205 Tiffany Lane, Longview, Texas. I want to zone this from, I didn't know it was agriculture when I bought the lot, because there had been an old barbecue place there for years and years and years called Farmers Market Barbecue. We originally intended to just remodel the building, but after the building inspector came and after talking to a contractor, what we're going to do with the building is tear the building down and build a new 30 by 24 metal building on the place. It will be a car lot. Presently, I have a car lot at 205 Delroy, which is on the other side of the street, down about approximately 200 feet from this location. Just seeking to improve this property.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Parker?
Is your existing lot going to remain open also?
No, no, ma'am.
It will close.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
No other questions from commissioners at this point, staff?
Thank you. The applicant is requesting a rezone from agriculture A to heavy commercial C2 for property located at 200 Delroy Street. The subject property was annexed in 2009. When annexation occurs, the property that is annexed is automatically assigned an agricultural zoning designation and therefore needs to be rezoned. The applicant is proposing to use this property as a car lot. He is currently across the street, and you can kind of see his building on this picture. State Highway 31 is a principal arterial, which is appropriate for heavy commercial uses. Staff finds that the proposed zoning change is consistent with the future land use map and surrounding uses. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
No questions for staff at this time? You may be seated, Mr. Parker.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, we will open up the public hearing for application Z15-17. There be anyone present to speak in support of it, please come forward at this time. If there be anybody present to speak in opposition to it, please come forward at this time. Give us your name and your address, please.
How you doing? I'm John Cashmar, 1400 Highway 31. Actually, I'm here representing LL Crouch, 1402 Highway 31. He was unable to make it this evening. He is the owner of the property that, as you see right there in the piece in question, where the red line is, that's his fence line. He has a statement here. I was going to submit it, but what he's asking is that he's saying, I'm against the rezoning to heavy commercial C2 and then he has some reasons listed. But he has a statement with copies if you guys are interested in seeing it. His main objection is that there's not enough room to put heavy commercial on that little piece right there. You want me to read? I mean, I can do my best. He's got it in cursive, but I'll read it if you'd like me to.
Please.
All right. This letter is to inform the Planning and Zoning Commission of Longview, Texas, at their scheduled meeting at 5:30 p.m. September 15, 2015, that I will be out of town and unable to make the meeting, to consider the application Z15-17 by Howard Parker to rezone 0.393 acres of AB 256 M Man Survey, TR 66, Section 3 on Delroy Street. However, I would be against the rezoning to heavy commercial C2 for several reasons. Reason one, the building now on the land has no room for parking as it is almost in the right-of-way of Delroy Street. It has been vacant for several years and believe the highway department owns most of the land as a street right-of-way. And it would have no commercial value for it or my adjoining land. Reason 2, he says, also the existing use for this small strip along the right-of-way is unusable for said purpose. And on his third point here, he puts, the community will not be improved as there already is a used car garage across the street. He also has on here, this plat does not conform to the City of Longview's comprehensive plan for South Longview Highway 31. I'm not sure how accurate that is, but I did read the part of the plan, and it does talk about trying to beautify Longview and make Longview look better. So, yeah, for whatever that's worth, I guess you guys know the plan better than I do.
Okay, do you, what do you think the appropriate zoning would be?
Me personally?
Mhm.
Well, from what I've looked at, the piece in question looks like it doesn't even exist. Because according to Gregg County, 256 M Man Survey TR 66 Section 3 is actually the triangle down lower.
It's actually all of this. It was illegally subdivided. The new owner does understand that he is going to have to go through the subdivision process, the platting process, in order to plat this lot out separately.
Okay,
But as of right now, it is all one lot.
But on the, that's, on here, it's not, but that's fine, it is.
Well,
Angela,
this is it's
And
a
their
representation.
Yeah,
From
I
the
know, they
district.
say, hey, it's not accurate.
Yes, it's
Yeah,
not.
so,
Yes.
I agree, but regardless, it's a real small piece of land, and, so I can tell you from personal experience that that little right-of-way will be full of cars, okay? We've got a city sewer manhole right there. We've also got a fire hydrant, a city fire hydrant right there. It's gonna be loaded with people trying to come in and look at it, which is a good thing for business. But it's not a good thing if you're trying to prevent people from parking in front of fire hydrants and city manholes. In addition, across the street is my water meter. It's sitting right there across Delroy, because before Delroy Street was there, when my house was built in '69, they put the water meter all the way up there. People are gonna be parking right on my water meter. But nobody's thinking of all these potential issues that could come up.
And this is just the zoning change. Now,
Yeah, I
through
know.
the,
I
through the
don't know what-
development process, he will be required to meet all current city codes and regulations. He will have to go through site plan review, because as the applicant stated, he is tearing down this building, and he will be rebuilding. So he will have to go through site plan review.
Anyway, I'm just speaking for Mr. Crouch, because he is actually the property owner next to it, so.
we have to close this.
Angela, would you take your arrow,
We should-
please,
we should,
and
but go ahead and
circle
ask the
just
question.
the area that is
This-
in question, right
Yes,
there?
this,
That long.
this little strip, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Angela, can I ask you, are you explaining what this, in this pictorial, what the red defining lines are for the whole, from the bottom to the top?
Yeah, the red line is the city limits. So this piece of property is inside the city limits. Mr. Crouch's property is actually outside the city limits. He is not inside the city limits. We did notify everybody within 200 feet, but he is outside the city limits.
When they annexed it, he was grandfathered in.
May I ask, where is your house?
I'm this one right here.
Can
Are
you
you this?
point?
Is it this one?
Yeah,
Okay.
Okay.
And he is inside the city limits.
but not within 200 feet.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, thank you, sir. Is there anyone else? There being no one else to speak in opposition to, the public hearing is now closed. We can still have some discussion about this. It would appear that we've got a situation here. If you'll go back to the picture that actually shows the said property that's going to be torn down, that's what's there right now, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and that will be torn down, cleared out, and replaced with a new
Yes, sir.
structure of some,
Yes, sir.
as I understand it.
That's correct.
Okay, all right. Any other?
And because we zone it heavy commercial, and he alluded to the facility that he'll be building, is it a car lot or a car garage? I mean, I guess there's no question, once it goes heavy commercial, there's no defining what can be put there, correct?
Correct. C2 is heavy commercial. It does allow for auto sales and auto repair. And that's typical with all auto sales, auto dealerships. They're required to be in C2 zoning, which does allow for the repair also.
One last question on our comprehensive plan, as we have all learned and stood, is any of that effective at our future plans for this right now? I mean, looking into our future, into the hourglass, I mean, through that, how does that all massage together in your plans?
If you look at the
understand.
future land use map that was adopted through the comprehensive plan, it does designate this area as commercial. You know, and through, as the gentleman said, talking about beautification, through the site plan process, the applicant will have to comply with current codes, which does require landscaping on commercial sites. So he will have to comply with current zoning and all City of Longview codes and regulations.
Okay, just to be clear, C2, we're talking about C2 because that is the zoning designation for cars, car dealers,
Yes, sir.
sales, repair, whatever.
Yes,
So-
sir.
Because I think I heard you say that the other car lots,
Yes, sir. C2 is required for automotive sales and repair.
okay. I think my only comment would be is that, you know, I mean, there's not going to be any agriculture done there. There's not enough room to do any agriculture. So beyond that, any other comments, or are we ready for a motion?
I'd just like to add one comment also. In considering this, we're not approving that he can fit it all on there. We're just giving him the opportunity to move forward, because as it was stated, it is a small piece of property. So he will have to go through our site plan process to ensure proper setbacks, proper parking, proper landscaping, buffering, all those things that we would require anybody else. This is just giving him that opportunity to further develop the property more so than what's there now. So the zoning just allows him to do those uses, but it doesn't guarantee it.
Okay.
Well, that lot definitely needs a major cleanup.
Do we have a motion on this application at this time?
Make a motion that we approve Z 15-17.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and second that we approve application Z 15-17. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Application Z 15-17 is approved. PD 15-12, public hearing will be held to consider application PD 15-12 filed by Krupal Patel requesting to rezone Lot 5A, Block 1, the Hamptons of Longview from planned development general retail mixed use, PD 11-07, to planned development general retail for a convenience store with a restaurant, gas station, and car wash located at 1188 East Hawkins Parkway. Who represents the application? Come forward and give us your name, address, and tell us about what you're doing.
Jeff Ramsey. Address is 2 Stone Ridge, Longview, Texas, 75605. I'm the owner of Ramsey Realty Group as well, and represent Mr. Krupal in the purchase of the property. The project that he's proposing to do on this just over 2-acre property is going to be split up into 2 phases. The first phase would be the convenience store, gas station, as well as a sit-down type restaurant that you can come in and do a multitude of things. I believe that the growth that Longview is going and moving north and northeast, as far as the residential and developments and things of that nature, I think this is very useful and very conducive, very supportive of the need for that location in that area. It's going to be servicing a lot of people and residents that currently right now have to drive a little ways before they can get any gas, before they can get any convenience and that sort of thing. So I believe it's going to be a very good thing to have in the area. To also add in another restaurant that's not going to be typical of the Longview area, and to bring in a different variety for our residents to go and have a different type of dinner or a lunch or whatever it might be. The car wash will be set up in the back to where it's less observant, to where you can't really notice it that much. I believe the building overall is going to be over 80% brick or mortar, masonry or a masonry type construction, and it's going to be a very attractive location, a very attractive building, along with the proper landscaping and everything else. We'll be servicing up to 10 pumps there for gas, and helping our residents be able to fill up their cars and what have you. Any questions?
Any commissioners have any questions for Mr. Ramsey? None at this time. Staff report.
Thank you. The applicant is requesting to rezone from Plan Development General Retail Mixed Use to Plan Development General Retail for a convenience store with a restaurant, gasoline station, and car wash. The development site plan shows a convenience store that is approximately 5,300 square feet in size, with a car wash that's approximately 1,000 square feet. There will be approximately 10 fueling stations, as you can see here in this corner. The site will meet parking requirements for a convenience store, which is one parking space for per 200 square feet, and a restaurant, which is one parking space for per 3 persons based on the maximum occupancy, which is assigned by the building official. Hawkins Parkway is a minor arterial road. Tryon is a collector. Both are appropriate for this type of development as long as access management is followed. Staff finds that the proposed zoning change is consistent with the future land use map and surrounding uses. I would be happy to answer any questions at this time. Yes, ma'am.
Question. As a new board member, you're going to have to explain to me why we spent 9 pages in here going from planned use,
Plan Development General Retail.
Plan Development General Retail to Plan Development General Retail. Why are we doing this?
Because a plan development is a zoning district that requires site plan approval from the Planning and Zoning Commission and City Council. There was no site plan attached whenever the Hamptons, or I think Abbey Development, developed this area. They did an overlay for a plan development for mixed use and came back with each parcel and came back with the site plan for each parcel. They sold this one, or is in the process of selling this off to Mr. Patel. There was no site plan approved at that time, and so a site plan must be approved at this time through the Planning and Zoning Commission and City Council.
Thank you very much. It just seems redundant.
Any other questions for staff at this point?
What's across the street zoned?
Across the street is Plan Development General Retail Mixed Use. As you can see, this whole area was for a Plan Development General Retail Mixed Use, and then they came back and did a plan development for right here, which is the nursing home and assisted living facility, or the assisted living facility and independent living. They did a plan development here, another PD for a nursing home. They came back and rezoned this for a nursing home. They came back through here and got site plan approval and a zoning change for apartments right here. Just, I think last month we did the hotel, which is right here for a plan development for site plan review and approval from Planning and Zoning Commission and City Council for a hotel right here. And then across the street, that is a vacant parcel right now, but as of right now, it is Plan Development General Retail Mixed Use.
Where's the city limits at?
The city limits, all this white area, this is all outside the city limits. Right here, this is all the city limits. I'm sorry, the map doesn't show the city limits, but anything that's in a colored, is colored is inside the city limits. Anything that's white is outside the city limits.
And just to kind of add to that as well, one of the reasons we use plan development, it's a tool that we use to have a little bit of oversight in the development process, rather than just going and doing straight general retail and letting them construct anything that fits in that retail category. Especially since the city participated in the construction of Hawkins Parkway specifically for this area to develop for kind of a mix of uses related to active adult transitioning kind of lifestyle with the assisted living, the independent living. It was kind of geared more towards that retirement designation that the city has. So we wanted to ensure through the zoning process that that was maintained and that only retail type uses that really supported that were allowed. And we feel that with all of that residential, the different mixed types of residential, that this would definitely support that for those reasons that Mr. Ramsey stated.
Any other questions at this time? No other questions at this time. We'll have our, we'll open up the public hearing on this PD. Anyone present wishing to speak in support of PD 15-12, come forward. Give us your name and your address, please.
Good evening. My name is Paula Rogers. My sister and I own adjacent property to PD 15-12, and I'm not sure if I'm speaking in support, or I believe I am. I certainly am not opposing it, but really it's just in question. I have questions and wanted to ask, I suppose, coordination and communication with the board and with the city. I've spoken with them, and they've been incredibly helpful. I wanted to let you know that although our property is in the ETJ, it's the long, narrow strip right there. My sister and I are in plans to develop that as well. And so I think as good stewards, we recently, in the last 2 years, sold most of our parents' property to Moberly Church, and certainly have tremendous interest in how that's developed. I have absolutely no problem with the plans for 15-12. I do have questions, so that as we develop adjoining property, it's done so in concert with one another and to benefit the whole neighborhood. So my questions, as I've posed to the city, and my sister's questions, are more in line with those things such as where the drives will be, what kind of lighting will be along the property lines, because we're planning to do condominiums or townhomes on the adjoining property, which I think will be in support of one another. But we're going to a pretty great expense right now for architectural drawings and architectural renderings, and it's kind of silly of us not to have all the details to do that, so that we're working as good partners and good neighbors, and that's really what we're trying to do. So my questions are about fencing and borders, lighting, anything that you would think of as being a zoning board that would impact an adjoining piece of property being developed into multifamily or townhomes. So, but certainly neither of us are in opposition to this piece of property being retail or the type of establishment that's been described. It's just questions about the details.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else speak in support? No one else coming forward to support anybody in opposition? Please come forward, give us your name and your address, please.
I'm Larry Pointer, 3636 Tryon Road. I live directly across the street from the property she was just talking about. Mostly I have questions about the proposed thing here, because there's a lot of traffic right now that goes through there. Is there going to be any kind of traffic control for this new development they want to rezone for.
At this time, this development is not large enough to require traffic impact analysis.
Evidently, you ain't been by there. Because there is a lot of traffic goes through there right now. I mean, I'm
Could you put
surprised somebody ain't had a wreck already.
Could you put the map up that we could see where his house is in relation to?
His property is located, I think, are you
Yeah, right
Mr.
there.
Pointer right
Yes,
here?
yes,
Okay.
ma'am. Basically, what I was wondering is this new store that they want to put in, is it going to come right out on Tryon Road? Or are you going to have to turn down Hawkins to get into it?
As of now, he has proposed 2 driveways, one on Hawkins and one on Tryon. Through the site development, through site plan review and the site plan process, those locations will be more definite. But he has proposed 1 driveway off of Tryon and 1 onto Hawkins Parkway.
Because it is very, very busy out there right now, 3 times a day. People going to work, people going to lunch and back to work, and then going home from work. I mean, it's almost like a freeway out there.
So is that your only concern, is the traffic impact of the project, Mr.?
Well, yes, sir,
Porter?
I know, that's basically mine. I know some of my neighbors are worried about the value of the property going down. We just heard yesterday, some guys wanted to buy the rent house next door and put a bunch of rent trailers in there, which would be right across the road from where they're talking about putting one.
Yes, sir.
So, I don't know, that's just what they heard yesterday, but that's all I got to say.
Thank you, sir.
And as you see my ball cap, I only wear it when they win, so I don't wear it too often.
Thank you, sir.
And I can address the concerns of the previous, the lady that was up here. You know, as far as buffering is concerned, unfortunately, she is outside the city limits. There is no zoning outside the city limits, so we do not require any fencing or buffering between this property right here in question that's being rezoned and the adjacent property. Also, as far as driveway locations, I don't know if ma'am, if you can see the proposed driveway locations, but through the site plan review process, it will be more set in stone, but these are the proposed locations as of now. Yes, ma'am.
I have no doubt that working in cooperation with both of you and Mr. Patel, that we can gather the details that we need to. My a goal this evening was for those of you who are developing or approving the development of the property to be aware of the adjacent piece of property and what will be there, so that you can ask the necessary questions and look at those things in site plans or site plan review. Because while I certainly know it's in the ETJ and has been now for a very, very long time, I also know that it really matters not to the value of the neighborhood and the value of adjacent property and the development of Northeast Longview. No one really cares that mine's in the ETJ and that his is not. What they really care about is that they're both developed for the best interest of our community. And so I would just ask your consideration that the questions you normally ask and the things you normally think about when this type of development is occurring, or 2 simultaneous developments are occurring, what should we think about so that they work for the best interest of our citizens and not against one another? I've never met him before this evening, but I have certainly no doubt that he and I can visit, and that I can visit with you. But I wanted to put the commission, make them aware of the future plans.
Thank you. We appreciate it. There be no other comments at this point. The public hearing is, yes, sir. Are you in opposition or support? Okay.
Get back to the notification.
Name and address, please, sir.
Jerry Henderson, 3621 Tryon. We just bought the property from Mr. Rogers a year ago. Never knew anything about future plans for putting a convenience store and cafe in our backyard. Our house is, well, you can see right there. It's the property, Coons and Rogers separates the Abbey development, but it's a stone throws away. I mean, I'm sure y'all all been down through there. Like Larry said, the traffic is deplorable. The front of my wife's 2005 Cavalier got ripped off by a hit and run pulling out of my driveway about 6 months ago. We have no problem with developing that land for living. This is a residential section. We want to live in peace. We don't want the traffic and all the riffraff that comes along with the convenience store. Put your condos in, build some more apartments or whatever, because it's a residential section. If they're going to build it for commercial use, they should have told us that before they sold us the property. But the traffic is deplorable right now. The road it really can't sustain the traffic that is there. But with all that being said, not to repeat it, but just having a business in our backyard is we don't come and build businesses in their backyard. Build a condo, build an apartment complex, whatever. It's a residential section. That coincides with the retirement home and what the Baptist Church is wanting to do with the land that they bought. They're wanting to make it, put cabins and stuff back there for a resort, a retreat, from what they're telling us. And no, a convenience store is not suitable. It just don't fit in with that. It's not that far to go on up to by Target and all like that to get what you need. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else? Okay, if there be no one else present to speak, the public hearing is now closed on application 15-12. Do we have a motion?
Make a motion for approval for PD 15-12.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded that application PD 15-12 be approved. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I oppose.
Okay, 15-12 stands approved and so noted. Okay, do we have let's see, what is this last one? Item F. Okay. M, 15-04, public hearing will be held to consider M 15-04, amending Article 8-104 and Article 8-600 of the zoning ordinance to add and amend uses and definitions. Is this a staff?
Yes, sir, it is.
Please.
Thank you, Mr. Murphy. The planning and zoning staff is proposing amendments to the zoning ordinance to amend the use amusement, commercial indoor amusement, to create, and we want to change it to amusement indoor and remove the word commercial, and to also create a use for bowling alley. Staff also proposes to amend the definition of commercial indoor amusement to reflect the changes within Article 8-104, the use chart that you previously saw, to remove the word commercial and to also remove and including but not limited to bowling alley or billiard parlor. With the passing of this amendment, it would create a bowling alley use within the use chart as seen here. And then we also, I think last year created the billiard parlor use, so we also have that separated out. Staff is proposing to allow amusement indoor with a specific use permit in general retail and by right in light and heavy commercial and light and heavy industrial districts and plan development. By amending the uses and definitions, this will allow certain indoor amusements within general retail with a specific use permit. A specific use permit allows for the applicant to ask the Planning and Zoning Commission and City Council for approval of that use within general retail zoning district. One of the goals of the comprehensive plan is to seek development of additional family-friendly entertainment venues and recreational amenities. With this amendment, it will allow for these types of venues to be located in general retail zoning districts with a specific use permit. I would be happy to answer any questions.
Like you just clean up your verbiage like you did previously with your others.
That is correct. And right now, if you look at amusement commercial indoor, we're removing the word commercial and we're allowing it with an SUP in general retail, and then pulling out the bowling alley use and creating a bowling alley use and keeping it the same as previous, where it was allowed by right in light and heavy commercial, central business district, light and heavy industrial, and planned development, and just updating the definition to reflect those changes.
Do we have someone wanting to build a bowling alley?
It's not a bowling alley. We've had some inquiries in the past to do some children's activities like indoor amusement, kind of along the lines of, if you look at like 259, that Air U type of use. And right now our current ordinance for commercial indoor amusement, that's what we would classify it, and it doesn't allow it in general retail. It doesn't even allow it with a specific use permit. So with this change, it would allow for the applicant to ask Planning and Zoning Commission and City Council to allow that use in general retail with a specific use permit.
What is the building, the old bowling alley building that's about Lively Olds, what is that now?
That one is zoned heavy commercial. I think right now I think it's a grocery store proposing to go in there. I think it's one of the Michoacanas.
Any other questions? If there are no other questions, the public hearing for M15-04 is now open. There be anybody present to speak in support? Be anybody present to speak in opposition? There being no one coming forward in support or opposition, public hearing is now closed. Is there a motion?
I make a motion to approve.
It's been moved and second to approve M15-04. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? It's approved. Staff report, update.
Thank you. All items that went to City Council last month were approved. I would also like to note that we have a new planner on staff, Kadarius Colbert, for those of you all that have not met him.
Okay. Thank you. If there be nothing else in terms of business before this body on today, the September 15, 2015 meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission of Longview stands adjourned.